Okay.
Robert would ask that you also make a note for the record that the meeting is being held in a different room down the hall from the one posted, but that a proper sign has been placed on that meeting room so that that is taken care of.
So noted.
Thank you.
So with that, we will move toward our agenda. And the first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. And before we just approve the minutes, there's a couple of things as I read through the transcription. On page, and I know a lot of our meeting last time centered around the evaluation process and the responsibility of that evaluation process. And on page 13, Ms. Diamond, I guess the beginning with the third line from the bottom of her comment that begins with, I think that is an excellent point. Down at the bottom it says, and this body is the one, as you pointed out, that hires and could suspend or terminate and receive resignation, but with regard to some level of evaluation or oversight, that did not encroach into the largely independent nature of the office. And it says, I would agree. I think the one thing that, in looking in, that we didn't mention there is that while this commission hires and has sole authority to hire, once the hiring is done, then at that point in time, you're kind of joined in the boat by the new election administrator and by the commissioner's court, because from that point, you can approve or you can, I guess, I don't know if recommend, or you can approve, or we can approve the suspension or terminating by a 4/5 vote. But even if we do that, unless a majority of the commissioner's court votes to actually ultimately do that, it won't be done. So that's kind of we have the oversight responsibility, but ultimately, once we've hired them, and we do that, and we can accept their resignation, as we will do in a minute, and that doesn't require any kind of approval of the Commissioner's Court. To suspend or to terminate requires the approval of the Commissioner's Court. And I think that does need to be noted on page 13. And what I would just suggest is that we add in that, and could suspend or terminate with a majority approval of the Commissioner's Court.
Where would you put that?
I would say that, and this body is the one, as you pointed out, that hires the election administrator and could suspend or could terminate. Maybe we want to say by 4/5 vote of the commission and the approval of a majority of the Commissioner's Court.
Let me, you want to go, or I can go? But this is a reflection of what was said at that meeting. I don't believe what you're saying was said at that meeting.
I think at some point there was others indication somewhere else that did require the approval also of the Commissioner's Court. That may be exactly, in fact, it should be exactly what was said at that particular point in time.
Well, I'm not arguing with whether it's factual or not, with whether what you're saying is factual.
Okay.
I'm arguing that it wasn't said at that meeting.
So I guess the question is if there's something in the minutes that is said that is inaccurate, we don't correct it to point out that inaccuracy.
I don't think you correct what I said, just like you don't correct what any of your members said. I think what you might do is when you approve it, you approve it with a notation that the commission wishes to notice they approve these minutes, the language of section 31.037 in the election code, and then just set that out.
That would be better.
Okay, I would agree with that.
And then we tack that onto the bottom and of the minutes, and basically say, with reference to page 13, the commission wishes to note as it approves it the following.
Make it also page 14, because I think by just saying, or maybe we just say with the statute that says this, then that would be fine from that standpoint.
Election code, yeah.
So with that, I will move the approval of the minutes.
Okay.
We have a motion and second to approve the minutes with that addition. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the next item is to accept the resignation of Frank Phillips as the election administrator dated November the 23rd.
I move to accept the resignation letter of Frank Phillips dated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The next item on the agenda is the certificate of self-insurance by Tarrant County in lieu of a bond for the appointment of Stephen Vickers as the interim election administrator. Acting.
Can I address that briefly?
Sure.
For our new members? Commissioners? From, the government code provides a way that officials who have deputies, such as elections administrators, sheriffs, other types of officials, clerks, who have deputies or first assistants, if for some reason they leave their office, the law places the burden of carrying that out on their first assistant or chief deputy. And so that's what's happened here, because Stephen Vickers was the chief deputy elections administrator. He was designated by Frank back in 2014 and has been in that capacity ever since. And so I don't want to use the word interim because we don't use the word interim. He is acting as the elections administrator. The law gives him all the authority and power to carry forward during this time period until the next person that you choose has been brought on board and bonded and sworn in. And so the law just makes a nice smooth transition for you to take care of that. But to make sure that we've got all our I's dotted and T's crossed, we bond him just like an elections administrator. And the county has a policy of bonding first assistants by self-insurance who have to step into that role. So all we're asking for you to do is to approve the bond, which is a certificate of self-insurance. It has already been approved by Commissioner's Court, and this is more a belts and suspenders thing, but it would be helpful to have that on the record. The maximum amount that it could be is the amount that it is set at, so there's not any question of, oh, well, we used a low amount. We didn't. And it covers everything that the bond would cover in such a situation. Do you have any questions on that? Mm-hmm. All right.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the certificate of self-insurance for Stephen Vickers, First Assistant Chief Deputy Elections Administrator, acting pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 601.002.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And let me ask one question, because Mr. Vickers indicated to me he's going to be on vacation. We don't have to appoint somebody else in the interim?
He will take care of that. He will have a designee, but it's not something that you need to deal with. If somehow his vacation turns into such adventure that we never
See him again?
then we'll process more paperwork. But we are sure he will come back with wonderful photographs and that will all be just, extra insurance. So,
Okay.
yeah, we'll take care of that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? At this point, we are going to recess our open meeting for a closed session to discuss items exempted under section 551.071, 072, 074, and 076 of the Texas Government Code. I don't think I was supposed to put 072 in there, but I get on a roll with these things. And 076 of the Texas Government Code. And we'll be back shortly. Discuss the Tarrant County election administrator's position description and determine what, if any, changes we would like to make to this before we post it. I believe that the copy you have in your files It's my understanding that the yellow highlighted area represents the things that are statutorily required to be, the statutory requirements for this position. Everything else is subject to deletion, addition, or whatever. And so I think that my recommendation would be we can go through this bit by bit and make a determination to delete it, to change it, or to keep it. And in the course of that, if there are things which you want to be understood at some point in time, because once we figure this out, then we'll post it.
Okay.
And from that, then those applications will be open, or the posting will be open for, usually it's 3 to 4 weeks. And then from there, we will take those applications and review those. HR will actually take them in, and as long as the application implies that they have met whatever qualifications we determine by this posting, then they will be on the approved list. And we can make arrangements, I believe, for everyone to be able to log in, or can the two-party chairs log in, or can we set up something special for them, Mr. Mayor?
We'll make sure that if they can't, then what we'll do, we will give them hard copies.
Okay. And then we can, from that, determine how we want to arrive at the interview field. Now, if there's other information, after we've done all what we're gonna do to this, if there are other things which we would like to present to the interviewees as things that we feel like are also gonna be important to their job, then we can give them, hopefully we could hand that out to them either at that time. I don't guess we would hand it out to them prior to us agreeing to interview beyond what is in here. So, but there may be things in here that we want to eliminate completely, and there may be things in here which we wish to put on a list of things that are important to us, but are not what we deem to be considered a requirement for the job
And
description.
that would be my recommendation.
Okay, so let's go through here. Go ahead.
My recommendation would be that what's posted as a job description is what's statutorily required, and then we as a body would come up with a list of expectations separate from that, as similar to what you just indicated, to give to them during the interview process.
And Ron, I would agree with that.
Can I repeat back what you said, if this is what you're meaning? Statutory requirement is all that we put on the job posting. We get together at a separate time as a body.
Yes.
Come up with what we think our expectations are for this new person.
Which would probably include
Which
some of this.
has a lot of these in it, but we sit down at a different time, come up with that list, and then present them to them. And I would even go so far as to say, this may stray from what you said, I would even, after they have been deemed to be someone worthy of an interview or going further down the road with them, get it to them then and say, these are the requirements, not waste their time or our time having them come in. We hand them that and they say, what the heck is this? I'm not doing that. I would recommend we do it that way, but I like that line of thinking. Is that basically what you were saying?
Yeah, do you want that in a motion?
As long as within that it specifically says that we're going to take and eliminate everything here with the exception of the effective date and the identification of the position. We're gonna eliminate everything here, but you better make sure that within those highlighted areas that you agree, because that's what's gonna be posted. Now, at the same time, before we leave here, if we post this position next week, and we're talking about 4 weeks, and that means we got 4 weeks to get back together and come up with all those things and approve that, especially if we're gonna mail it out to them prior to the time that we ask them to come in for an interview. So, sometimes it's been a little difficult setting a meeting. Mr. Manius, you just look like you're anxious to say something.
May I just ask one or two questions to simplify?
Yes, sir.
Are you, when you make the statement that there's things that you're looking for in a candidate that may be above and beyond what is statutorily required to meet those deals, if you're assuming something like experience, or you're assuming something like a college education, something like that, you might also want to consider this. Simply list what you think or what the statutory requirements are. And then if you're going to use that other as a preference, I would identify that immediately and say, you know, college education is preferable. It doesn't mean that that is required. It just says that that's something that you're looking for.
You're aware, I'm sure, that the district attorney has said that it's basically inappropriate to post as a job description anything more than what's in the statutory requirements.
The
And I
statutory
agree with
requirements
that.
are what you're asking for, but if you're going to start a preference list, then why not identify that and put that on the application?
But not as part of the job description. That's the point I'm making here, is it shouldn't be part of the job description. Like somebody needs to work from 8 to 5.
Well, but, I mean, I guess what he's saying, I think, is a preference. Do we have as a preference that they've had any experience whatsoever as an election administrator?
I mean, what's going to happen is that if you just list the basic elements and no preferences, then quite frankly, just about everybody that voted this last time
Eligible, yeah.
is eligible to apply.
Let me ask you this. We had a bit of a discussion. Do you know if this job description was used, did it go out, was it posted last time?
Yes.
Okay.
This job description that you have currently was one that this board looked at. The district attorney's office also looked at it. We sent it over for their comment, and it was the one that was posted.
Well, the district attorney now disagrees.
Okay, well,
Well, the district attorney now wasn't there when we did this the last time.
Right.
So, I
That's
mean,
why I say the district attorney now.
So and Tim, we're talking about with the lawyer discussing that, and you had a suggestion about basically what GK is saying. So if we look at number 18,
So, no.
what does that speak to? What, as by law, what does that mean, Ann? Performs all other related duties in the operation of the business as required by law. What law? Because that would be the preferential, or.
now, I'm the
where
one,
would-
our office is the one that highlighted that, so she may think that that does not need to be highlighted because that's redundant as to the other things pursuant to law. I mean, we've got the state statutes, maybe there's some federal laws that this person also is gonna be required to follow.
I thought you said the yellow was absolutely out of the statute that needs to be posted.
It is, but that doesn't, I mean,
Okay, well, why is 18 highlighted then?
So, can I ask
'Cause it
Mr.
was a
Manus a
perception.
question while you're looking at that? I'm not familiar with what the county job descriptions look like, but I know with my last employer, we used to have something we called adders. And while we'd have a basic job description, we had adders that went into the job description at the bottom, that those were things that could help you move to the top of the list, like a college degree, like experience. Do you all do anything like that?
what we do is, for example, we may not require a college education, but we'll say a degree is preferred.
Yeah, okay.
It's
And
not a
then-
requirement, but it's something that we look at.
So when it comes, I'm sorry, Ann, when it comes to, so when you're taking a lot of this stuff out of the job description,
Okay.
I think it adds nothing to put in a job description, post online, acts as a resource for staff questions regarding customer, client, or citizen issues and policies. I don't think, there's a lot of that kind of stuff that's unnecessary for a job description.
I would go,
However, things like college degree preferred.
Okay.
Or 5 years management experience preferred, I think those are some key things.
Okay.
I would not turn this position over to someone who just got out of college 1 month
Right.
ago.
And voted.
And that's where I was fixing to say, I think in addition to the statutory requirements that we've attempted to highlight here, and again, that's my office taking the job description and trying to highlight and to show y'all what was in here that was required by state statute and what else had been added. Then maybe the one thing I would say is preference, a college degree if that's it. And I'm not trying to say that I feel like that's as critical as experience. And so short of a college degree, maybe it's working experience within an election department for 4 years or 10 years. We've currently got a bachelor's degree in 6 years. Do we even want to have someone apply who's, one day out of college and has never been an election administrator or never worked in elections before?
No, I think.
And I think that's about where I would stop on anything else.
I like the idea of college degree preferred but not required. And I also like the idea of some management experience. And,
Do you like the idea of including 4 years of experience in an electoral related area?
we're not gonna get what I'm about to say. I guess we could, but what if the guy that ran IBM or the lady that ran eBay said, I'd really like to do this and serve? She's never been an elected official. Would you take the person that ran eBay to run this department? I would do it in a minute. So that's certainly a big, ridiculous example, but it could happen. So I think that's another one of those I would put in as preferred. But we're open to someone with management experience and who's been successful, that doesn't have a college degree and that hadn't worked 4 years in the elections department, if that person fits.
So under preference would be college degree, managerial experience, election, either election department experience.
And
And those would be the three things, and
That's what
that'd be done.
I would be good with that.
Okay,
I
to
agree.
respond to the questions y'all had asked on number 18, really, that's just saying, do what the law requires you to do, so there's nothing extraordinary about it. Obviously, that is the job, is to do what the law requires you to do, so, but that's all really that we see 18 as saying. 10, where you're talking about service provider for election service contracts for political subdivisions within the county, it's actually a requirement, statutory requirement of the job of the election administrator. If a city comes to him and says, I want you to run this election, he's got to.
Okay.
It's a statutory requirement, and that's probably why that's highlighted. And it's a big part of what they do, so.
So it would be the statutory requirement with a preference, three preferences.
Three preferences.
I would also note that the appointment position part is taken out of the statute. It's not a statutory requirement, but it's statutory information.
Okay, so let me, do you wanna make an attempt, or do you want me to summarize what I think you're moving?
I think he did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, make
Yeah.
the motion.
Okay.
Okay, one question before you make that motion, is that the statement that she just made, the items on here that are not highlighted and the statement she just made, was the whole sentence related to the appointment of the position?
I would leave the appointment part in. I would leave the position salary part in. Then I would leave in all of the bolds, all of the highlighteds,
Is that statutory?
yes. And then I would put the three preferences.
Let
So
me
you
ask,
want me to try to tie that nicely into a motion?
before you do, let me ask GK a question. When we have a requirement, and then we have preferences, how does HR handle that? If we've listed three preferences, let's say somebody only has one, are they gonna make HR's cut? Are we gonna get that application?
We can adjust the device that looks at those to see which ones we want. You can give preferences to the preferences. That didn't come out right, but you understand what I'm saying. So if you're saying that you want three preferences, and we can put all three of them in, we can detail to you, those that are above and beyond just the basic that has any preference at all.
So GK, what would happen? I have a college degree. I have 6 years of election experience, and I have 20 years as a manager, okay, as a upper-level manager. So, and then Tim has a master's degree and 15 years experience, general management. and some-
Doctorate.
Yeah, a doctorate and some elect, so, and then Judge has nothing.
Yeah, but he's got a law
voter.
degree.
Yeah, watch it.
He's
Yeah,
a law
Judge-
degree, he don't get squat.
Okay, yeah, but Judge is just a voter, so that would make, then you'd rank them according to, like, Tim had more experience than me, so he'd be one on the list, then two,
But let
then
me-
would that go that way? I'm just trying to clarify.
HR is not going to rank. We're
Okay,
gonna-
they don't rank.
and I
Okay.
think- and-
All right,
and
they
G.
don't
Kelly,
rank.
one of the things
Okay.
that I believe that this group is saying is, we want anybody who qualifies based upon the statutory requirements to
Okay.
be acceptable to this
And
group.
I was going to clarify that.
Okay,
You're
very good.
absolutely right. If the basic requirements or the statutory requirements, everyone who fills or meets those requirements qualifies to apply.
Okay.
That was my real question,
Okay.
because I didn't want the fact that we're putting preferences on there to necessarily,
Excludes
Agree
people.
with that.
Yeah, okay.
all right.
But what does happen is that when you list those preferences, in some instances, because there's some narratives on our job, sometimes the applicant will expound on those, that what they do have. In other words, they say, I have a college degree, or I've been doing this and doing that. So you'll find that in the application also.
Okay, so my motion is that we post a job description for Tarrant County Elections Administrator with the following information contained therein. All statutory requirements, which includes the gold highlighted provisions of the Tarrant County position description we have, the appointment of positions section, the position salary section, as well as 3 preferences in no particular order: a 4-year college degree, I'm gonna say 4 years management experience, and 4 years experience in an elections department, or the equivalent. So I will move that.
Second.
Could I ask you to clarify that to a bachelor's degree as opposed to a 4-year degree? You have students who make it through 3 years. but a
My daughter
bachelor's-
made it in 9.
Well, right.
That,
But she made it.
yes, that motion is for a bachelor's degree.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Now, since I don't sense that everybody wants to stay here for, and I may be wrong about this, but I don't sense everybody wants to stay here to begin to develop the other information. Do we have a date in the next week or so that we could get together and try to hammer that out? Or do you want to see if in the next 15, 20 minutes, we can go through all these things that we have not, that we've now taken out? And some of them we could definitely move over, some of them we could definitely do away with. And that's just, I'll leave that to y'all's, up to y'all.
My preference would be the next 15 or 20 minutes, because I'm traveling the next couple of weeks, and it's gonna be hard to get me back for a meeting, if you don't mind.
I have no problem whatsoever. I'm here till midnight, if need be.
I don't have any problem with staying. I wonder if we can come up with this in a 2-hour period with the way this is going, so.
No, completed? I don't think so.
Yeah.
We can't complete it, but, I mean, let's just, if we were to just go by
Iron some
paragraph.
stuff out, yeah.
Is there anything, we're gonna look at the summary thing first. Is there anything that we have excluded, which is everything that's in white? Is there anything that we have excluded that you would want to make sure is at least mentioned in expectations? So everybody read that and then we'll.
I would ditch 1,
Well, wait a minute.
Is that not what we're doing?
We're not on one, we're on
We're on
page
page
one.
one, and the summary.
On the
Back to
summary.
page one,
Oh,
on the
okay.
summary. Anything in there we want to keep?
So I think when we're talking about expectations, that very first sentence for me kind of really sums up what his job is as a manager, is to provide, or his or her, provide executive, strategic, and tactical direction and support to directors, managers, and supervisors in the operations of the department or division. I mean, that's really the big umbrella under which he works.
So do we have anybody who objects to keeping that sentence and eliminating the rest? And what we'll do is we'll move these sentences or these things over. We'll try to compile them in a manner, and we'll send them out to you for your indications or corrections or changes. With this very strong statement, when you send it back, do not reply all.
I don't have any problem with number one. I think I'm not quite ready to give up the rest of that paragraph. Number two, if you read number two, this level of support and direction achieved by delegating and reviewing the management of work assignment, service delivery, blah, blah, blah. I think that part is fine.
I disagree, that we're telling them how to do it.
Okay, and I'm not married to it. I think the part I really don't like is oversight of applicable unit products and services. I don't know what that means.
And when are we gonna bring this information to him? I'm completely confused at this point.
And these executive activities result in the delivery of a comprehensive array of public I would get rid of that whole
Is
thing.
this after we hire somebody?
No, here's what
No,
I
I
think,
thought we-
here's
What-
what I
Is this
think.
after we hire somebody, we're gonna sit down and give them this?
No, I believe that what we should do is we'll post the job description
Okay, with the preferential,
with the
and
preferences.
here come our
Here
candidates.
comes our candidates, and we've now narrowed that down to X
10
number of 10 people that we're gonna look at.
Okay,
When we send them out the time that we wanna interview them,
okay,
we're gonna send them out this expectations. We're gonna send that out, and when they come in, they will have had an opportunity to have read those expectations and be prepared to ask any questions about those expectations. Or they may get those expectations and say, I don't need any of this, I'm through. But they will have had an opportunity to see that prior to coming in for the interview. And
and what, okay,
I really like what Ron, I think we keep the first, I think we keep the very first sentence in and then go from there, so the rest of it gets,
so provides, and then we stop at division and yank everything else out?
yes.
Does the elections administrator recommend a budget to the county? For
I
the
bet we're gonna have
department?
opportunity for that a little bit
Okay.
later on.
I mean, because
We
that's
don't
part
go
of
back
the
in.
rest of this summary, is talking about the budget. I think that's a pretty important part. He needs to know that, or she needs to know that.
So Mary, what I thought is that we come up with these general things, and then when the people come in to interview, what we come up with is what we can make sure we cover in the interview
That's
about
what I
what
thought.
expectations are.
But he's saying we're saying them out before. So to me, these are interview questions or interview expectations. So I'm just trying to find out, is this part of the interview, or do they get that and then they come in and say, I've got all this, I can speak to it,
So
and
all
then
this is
we
that.
Well,
just
so
say.
let's discuss that a little bit more at the end and see exactly what we wanna do, and then,
Okay,
again, in the, moving forward, we're now on page 2, and we're under essential duties.
Judge, one moment before we go there. Just, I don't want to belabor it, and I'll shut up after this. Don't we want this person to train, evaluate, and develop the employees? Isn't that part of their job requirement? Isn't that what we're wanting them to do?
Yeah.
So
Well, but I wanna go down here and, so let's just put it up here, let's put somewhere up here on the top. If we don't cover it before we get to the end, we'll come back. Training, of employees.
And budget.
And I think you're gonna see that on the next page. I think this was the summary, and that first
Okay.
sentence gives the strategic overview. And then if you
Yep.
turn the second page, they're the essential duties and responsibilities.
That makes sense,
And
yep.
I think, then you work through those.
All right, so here we go. Number one,
I would ditch one.
okay.
Yep.
Think two stays.
Okay,
Why don't we put management and training? Since we've already said that we want
Yep.
some training in there.
what
Like
is
it?
it?
And training of employees within the department. Next.
I mean, obviously, we want them to do three.
I'm good with three.
Yeah. Four is fine. I'd probably ditch five.
Yeah, because that five is almost redundant with two.
It's
If
it's
you look
just a
at
bunch
two,
of
yeah.
legalese and sorry to whoever wrote it.
Yeah,
Well, they're probably not still here, so don't worry about it.
I mean,
Obviously, we can't figure out who wrote it in the first place.
yeah, we said cut five because two really,
covers that.
covers five.
I think I would keep four, but I would take out service, I don't know, it's service delivery methods, assesses the effectiveness and integrity of the election process, and identifies opportunities for improving election efficiency, fairness, and integrity.
Now, don't be just talking there.
Yeah,
Be writing too.
yeah, well,
Assesses the effectiveness and integrity of the election process.
yes.
And identifies opportunities for improving this process.
Yes. And I think it probably fits in that number four. But, and we talked about this a couple of times now. I believe this person should, whether they assign it to a staff member, whether they create it themselves, there should be a top-notch training program for all election judges and alternate judges and clerks to go through. That's one. And then on a separate part, I do believe, and whether it was said, it wasn't said, don't really care. I think the point is, I don't think this person should just sit back and wait for someone to complain that something has gone wrong in the elections process. I think this person should actively look and train their employees to look, to see if, you know, if there's some glaring, obvious thing. I don't remember if Frank said this or not. That's so long ago, but the discussion was, well, Frank said, I'm not the cop here. I'm not responsible for this.
We don't police it, yeah.
And I think that that's something that the elections administrator or department should do. They should observe and see if they see irregularities, and if so, bring it to someone's attention.
Absolutely.
That's not in here.
So let's not put any more into four than what we have, but let's
Yeah.
create another one down below here.
Okay.
Number 6, does that need to stay in?
Sure.
Did you write that down?
No.
Don't
No,
you think you should?
I think you're gonna get to it in a little bit,
Probably
okay?
can.
Okay.
I can't write what you just said. That's
Okay.
why I'm
Look
saying.
at number 7,
Okay.
okay, and, okay, look at 7. And can you start putting it in there?
Coordinates activities and programs.
See, improve interdepartmental performance, okay, could not training go in there?
Yes,
Because that's
yes.
interdepartmental.
Yes.
But yeah, okay.
So we put it in two.
But, now we're talking about now training the clerks,
Each
the
time
election
I say-
judges.
Okay,
training the judges?
Yeah, election judges, alternate judges, and clerks.
Yeah, but it really wouldn't be with other departments. That's more working with other county
Okay.
things. So let's, I'm not sure expedite work, improve interdepartmental performance using TAC. I'm not sure I think the election office works with IT, but I'm not sure. I don't know. They should, I'm sitting here thinking that, but they also work with audit. They also work with HR. They also work with purchasing.
Facilities?
Budget.
Yeah, so they do all of that. Prove your.
Okay, so we took out 5, we wanna keep
And-
We're keeping 6.
Okay,
Is
we're
it
keeping
possible
6.
for one of y'all to try to write what I said so I can listen and pay attention to this and I can look at it, edit it real quick, or no? Is that? Okay, do you know
No,
what
he's
part is
got
I'm
his
talking
pen
about?
open now, cause no.
Okay, no, that's okay.
We'll get to the end
Okay.
and we'll remember
It's hard
what
for me
you
to
said.
write to and pay attention, so.
Number 7, I think, stays in. Number 6 stays in. Number 8, 9, and 10 are already in.
Yeah,
11's redundant with 8.
I agree. I think we can take 11 out.
12's unnecessary.
I agree.
Yeah.
okay, so I agree with 12, but let me go back and see 8 and 11.
I'm good
And-
with 13.
Okay, so in 8, I would like to combine 8 and 11 to say, with assistance from the Secretary of State, interpret and applies the Texas Election Code provisions to election procedure, process procedures to protect the voting rights of all county citizens. Would anybody have any problem with that?
Good with that.
I'm fine with it.
Okay,
Fine.
13's good.
Wait a minute. Natalie, how much of this are you getting?
Well, it's being recorded, and I'm taking notes.
Good to hear. So,
Oh, if it's being recorded, then
yeah, we're on the screen.
okay, so we took out 11 and we moved part of that up, okay. You said 12 was out?
Yes,
Okay,
And 13,
I'm good with 13.
14,
Yep.
15,
I think it's unnecessary.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
16,
Hey, looky
Stays
there.
in.
Here's our budget.
yeah, I told you to see it, so 16 stays in.
Does the elections administrator approve expenditures within their department? Is that how the county is set up?
somebody approves that expenditure and then it would go to the, auditing or.
Right, we would put expenditures in, the auditor either approves it or kicks it back and says no.
It's not in the budget.
So monitors and approves expenditures, does that fit here?
well, they would approve expenditures within.
Subject to,
Right,
gotcha.
exactly.
The auditor,
Okay,
so yeah.
all right, I think 16's good.
17, I think we can take out.
Yeah.
Okay,
17,
And
delete.
remove,
just
okay.
kind of feel good.
Okay, I think we cross out the bachelor's stuff, which we've already talked about. 18 is in there because it's in there.
Okay,
Now, just for clarification, Judge, right now, we're not talking about what's being posted, we are talking about our
Correct.
expectations that we
Expectations
want them to see, and here's
Correct.
what, okay.
What about the Senate's expert knowledge of concepts, practices?
where are you?
That's
These
the
are under
end of
minimum
Under minimum
requirements.
requirements.
I think it's expected, I don't know if it's expected from the
Well,
incumbent.
you just said, if you found a good manager who came from eBay, you gotta be careful how you do that. They won't know. This says, related functional areas expect from the incumbent, so you want them to know election law, and we just said that's not necessary.
We're not talking here about a job requirement, we're talking
Okay.
about what we expect of them if
Okay.
they take the
If they
office.
take it, okay.
So you want this on the list of,
Expectations,
Expectations.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not a requirement.
so we're not gonna eliminate that, Natalie, we're simply gonna move it over to this new list that we're creating.
And then must have working knowledge, I would take that out, that sentence.
Okay,
That's more of a hiring question.
okay, supervisory responsibilities.
I think that you can take that whole thing out.
Yeah.
Which part of that last,
We're moving over only the expert knowledge of concepts, practices, and procedures of department and related functional areas is expected from the incumbent.
Although I would think I would take out the incumbent. Unless that has a meaning
Is
different than what I
expected.
know, yeah.
okay, and then
We're deleting all the responsibilities.
have to have working knowledge.
Okay, physical demands and work environment.
I'd ditch that whole thing.
I'd take that out.
I take the whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay, other requirements, we may take out all of it, so let's just.
Although we don't want them to ever stoop.
Do we even want to put in, do we want to put in there or leave in there, Tarrant County will conduct and,
well, see, isn't that just routine in that part of the whole hiring process? That you do a background check?
I definitely recommend a background check, whether it's sitting in this paragraph or whether it's, I definitely recommend.
But
does
isn't
it
that-
need to be
In there,
related?
no, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
That's
yeah.
for us, not for them.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think I could
do
take.
they have to agree to a background check?
They have to agree to a criminal background check.
Oh, they do?
But remember, they are a registered voter, so if they've been convicted of something, they've served their time, because you have to before you can be registered again.
Okay.
Well, let's go ahead and keep the background check in
Let's do
there.
it.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't wanna read on the front page of the paper that we have a,
but it's okay, because they served their time, yeah.
that's right, if they kill somebody, but they served their time, and so they're okay.
Right?
Well, we hired
Their
a
parole's
voter
done,
fraud
yeah.
mastermind.
So,
Thank
on other requirements, starting with Tarrant County, ending with attainment,
Each case is considered, I mean, we can,
I'd get rid of, after Tarrant County to attainment, I'd get rid of everything else.
okay, so a conviction or deferred adjudication is not an automatic bar to employment, you're saying that that would be? Or you're just saying that they're
I'm
gonna
just
look
saying-
at
I'm
it?
just
It's not
saying take it out.
necessary to
Yeah.
put it in.
The reason that's in there, is our employment lawyer who does most of our employment law is Robert Browder, and that's fairly standard if you're gonna do a criminal background check to add the rest of the information to it.
Okay.
So he would probably say, keep it all together and either toss all of it or leave all of it in from Tarrant County down to each case is considered individually. That would be, I know Robert is the one who's the expert on that, and he's not here today, so,
We're gonna keep
Well, my
all.
recommendation would be to keep all, from Tarrant County down to
Down
each
to
case is considered
individually.
individually.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. He would be, he would be the one to ask some of these job description questions.
And every time this says it,
The final version, period, no ifs, ands, or buts. I know you said to send it out, let us look at it. What's the process if
Oh,
I,
you can still make a reference and send it back to me.
okay,
Just don't hit reply all.
okay, and I say, gosh, they need to take this seminar once a year, I would send that to you, and then what? If you agree with it, it goes in?
Then what I might say,
well, we're still gonna have another meeting.
Yeah, the only reason I asked that we start going through it today
That's fine, yeah.
is I'm not really available again until February.
okay, so here's what we could do, because we're gonna have to come together again to determine how many we're gonna interview and who we're gonna interview.
So we can do it then, gotcha.
So at that point in time, we can approve that, and so if everybody will make their, additions, corrections, whatever you wanna do, and send it back, then we will accumulate that, and we will send it out to you again, so that you can again look at what everybody else has done. And again, just please never reply all when you send it back, and then at the beginning of the next meeting, we can have we can basically discuss, approve this, select our 10 or whatever number we choose to select, and then at that point in time, we can mail it out with the notification to them that they're one of the ones that we want to interview.
Perfect, and if the public wants to weigh in, now they have
Yeah,
ample
because
time.
I'm gonna submit something regarding communication. You know, their comments they communicated with us.
Yeah, good.
We haven't meant to exclude you, but we have. So at this point in time, I would simply ask, you heard all of this stuff. Is there anything out there that you thought, golly, that's gonna be pretty hard, or, I mean, does that all, did you hear anything that you really feel would hamstring an individual in this position? Or would, be something that would really make somebody say, you know, I just don't think I want any of this?
No, I didn't hear anything.
Okay. All right. With regards to this, is there anything else that we want to do? At this point, I'm going to ask if there's any public comments that want to be made at this time. Anybody has any public comments? Then with that, thank y'all all. We'll get this out, we'll try to get this out to you by, today is Wednesday, Tuesday? We'll get it out to you by Friday.
Thank you
We'll have
very
it in
much.
your hands by Friday, and we'll go from there. Thank y'all.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Happy New
Okay,
Year.
Happy New
Where
Year.
are you going?
Okay, oh. God,
You know
I don't
what?
even
The
know.
problem
I'm going
is
to
that we
Baton
didn't
Rouge
get
this weekend
either
because
one of
a
y'all's
friend's
voices
son is graduating
on
from
this
law
because
school,
you didn't,
and my
the green
sister's
lights
gonna
are on.
hood him.
No, I just
And
turned
then
mine
Okay, good.
then I've
Okay,
gotta go to
good.
New York for 2 weeks